You know, in Black America, particularly when it comes to the scholars or the intellectuals, quote unquote, there's a tendency to hyper focus on root causes and to intellectualize it and make it the topic of all discussion and debates, and even use it to squash conversations about current realities. For whatever reason, in many spaces in Black America, the root cause of a problem is often used to squash the conversation about the current condition and the current problem. And don't let solutions be brung up. We'll go back to the root cause to stop the conversation about current day solutions. So, for example, if you were to start talking about, let's just say, the drill music and how something needs to be done about drill music, because you got all these young people hopping around with guns talking about killing real people and dropping the names of real people who have died. And there's a whole lot of young people losing their life. And right now, currently, the leading cause of death for young Black men is homicide. The moment you start talking about what we should do about drill music and stopping the violence and doing this and doing that, that's when the intellectuals and the scholars come around and squash that conversation because they want to go back to root causes. And now we got to talk about the executives in the music industry, and we got to talk about the crack era. And listen, I'm not opposed to understanding root causes. The issue is we have established the root causes millions of times over. There's not an argument that we haven't heard. We've heard about how the government put in welfare to break up the Black family. We heard about how Black families are messed up because they used to breed Black people and they would rip families apart, and so it devalued the value of a family. We've heard about how they put the drugs in the community and to fund wars because we didn't have any planes and we didn't do this, and we heard about how they would supposedly drop off guns in Black communities so we would kill. We've heard all of these things. We've heard that. But when we start talking about the current day conditions on the ground and what needs to change and what we need to do, that's not the time for you to reiterate the cause that you done already told us about for the last 30 years. Because the crack era at this point is about 30 years ago. Meaning, people have been talking about whose fault it was, who started it, and the effects of it for about 20 years now. We know and we've heard it, but now we want to talk about what we can do right now to fix current situations. Now's not the time for you to talk about, well, the root cause. Stop. Stop it. We know the root cause. What is knowing the root cause going to fix? Seriously. Let's just say, for example, a racist came and broke your arm. Or the racist came and broke your legs. Or the racist came and put you in a coma. And you had a serious recovery to the point where you had to do a whole bunch of rehab and learn how to walk again and learn how to hold a pencil and learn how to write. You had to do a serious rehab and relearn a whole bunch of things. What if when the nurse comes in there to help you start your rehab and say and get you on the right track to do this and do that, you say, hold on, nurse. You want me to do rehab, but let's talk about the root cause of this situation. It was a racist that did this. Listen, okay. Yes, the racist did what the racist did, but guess what? You knowing the root cause of why you're in the situation is not what's going to get you out of the situation. You still got to go through the rehab and learn how to walk again and learn how to do all these other kind of things again. And I think a lot of us, for whatever reason, we don't want to move into that phase of progress. Because understanding the problem is part of the process to progress. But there's also an action phase. There's nothing wrong with understanding what was done to you. But after you understand what's done to you, at a certain point, you have got to put the pieces back together yourself. Because once again, using the same analogy, if somebody did something to you and put you in a coma and now you got to go through rehab, at the end of the day, the only person that can go through the rehab is you. You're the only one. The only person that can put back together your black family is you and the other people in your black family. The only other person that can change your mindset and start you to start eating healthy is you. We understand the root of soul food and how black people were given the scraps and we made do with it. We understand that. We know that. But the only way for you to live a long, healthy life is for you to change your diet. That's just what it is. You have to change your diet. Knowing the history of why we eat the food we eat is not going to help you live longer. You can understand the root of why we eat what we eat, and you can know the history of neck roll bones, and the history of hog balls, and the history of chitlins and greens, and you can know all the history and who started it and what. But if you keep eating like that, you're going to know the history, and you're going to die at 55. And that's a problem that we have. Every time we start talking about what we have to do to turn things around for us, you want to talk about the problem, but let's get to the root. No. I'm done with the root. The root ain't going to do nothing for you. You can know that, oh man, they came and they put welfare and told the woman, if you get welfare, you got to kick the man out the house, and that's why the family's not together. We can know that, but at the end of the day, if you don't call your baby mama, if you don't call your baby daddy, and learn how to problem solve and conflict resolution, and if you don't change your mindset and understand that a two-parent healthy household is important for your children and do what you got to do to work that situation out, it won't matter who started welfare or how they did it, your family's still going to be broken. It's time to move past the root cause and let's talk about some root solutions. How about that?